Pattern Effects Volume 4 will make a great addition to your creative tools when using ColorLogic. It is an excellent way of being able to add dimension, movement, and some really interesting effects to your designs in seconds. First of all, what is Pattern Effects? For those of you that don't know, go to the ColorLogic website, go to the products and scroll down to Pattern Effects and you'll come to this page here. There are videos, demonstrations, examples that explain about how it can be used in the applications. And if you want to know what the patterns are in each volume, click on the volume icon. So this is for Pattern Effects Volume 4. And you can scroll through these and basically find all the different patterns. So as you can see, all the patterns are different. There are 20 unique patterns, and each pattern has 6 different types of effects. For example, a metallic, a watermark, an emboss, a varnish, etc. And you can combine all these different things together to create unique bits of print. Now, different sized patterns need to be printed at different sizes on your artwork. For example, a design like this number 66, these fine lines, if you go too small, will start to fill in. So do take that into account when you're making your designs. Okay, so let's jump right in and let's work on some files. So it is perfect for any type of printing application with ColorLogic. You are not restricted to any type of specific design. You know, we're doing here greeting cards, a piece of packaging, and some business cards, just to show you 3 different applications. So first of all, let's jump right in and let's do our ColorLogic business cards. So we'll get rid of that text because we're no longer using that. Let's put that to volume 4. And what we're going to do first of all is we're going to colour up the designs using the ColorLogic Graphic Style Library. This is our library of pre-made metallic colours. So you can scroll through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create some colours. I'm just going to use a simple drag and drop technique here. And if you don't know how to use our graphic style libraries, please do watch the tutorial videos. So that's the first stage. Now if I click on any one of these colours that I've created and go to the appearance box, it will tell me for the number 70 it has a certain ColorLogic CMYK value and a ColorLogic separation as well. Okay, so this is where we need to change it for doing pattern effects, because at the moment this whole thing will be metallic. So what we're going to do now is go to the window menu, swatch libraries, and go to the Pattern Effects Volume 4. When you load this up, first time you load it into the system, you will see it looking a little bit like that. Not very intuitive because you don't know what the names are. So we do recommend changing to Large List View so you can see the names, and also switch on Persistent, which means that the next time you open the palettes, provided your software hasn't crashed, that is Adobe hasn't crashed, then all these will be in the same place, in the same style, you know, alphabetical and by name. So you can see here that each pattern, for example number 61, has dimensional, it has the embossed, metallic, varnish, watermark, watermark effects plus. So all our primary techniques are covered within inside it. So for each pattern there are 6 different options, and you can mix and match and scale and rotate. You can add different ones together if you want. Very creative tool. Excuse me. So the easiest way to actually work with pattern effects, as we said, use the graphic styles and then select the ColorLogic separation, and now we're going to work with some designs. I'm going to particularly work with dimensional effect on this one. So I can narrow this down by typing in DIM or dimensional. And it will narrow it down just to the dimensional effects within inside that palette. So I'm now going to click on this and it applies my dimensional effect pattern to that design. And I'll do another one here. Oops. Again, make sure you are selecting the ColorLogic separation. I will do what happened just then. And this one, let's do that one. Okay, so you can see here that these patterns are being created automatically. But let's have a look what's happening behind the scenes. So if we turn off the CMYK, you will see the ColorLogic separation. So if we print this on a device that has silver ink or toner, then the silver areas on this page here will print with silver ink or toner. If we're printing this onto a device using silver paper or foil paper and a white ink, and what you see as silver will be the silver paper, and the white area will be the white ink. So it makes no difference when you're designing with ColorLogic how you design. One design can go out to any type of printing process on any device using silver or white. Okay, so now let's take a look at basically what happens when we change these patterns. Now imagine doing this with a white ink separation, having to create all these white ink masks. Now look what happens when we cycle through our patterns. So I can go through and make sure that I'm selecting different patterns. You can see here that those white plates are automatically being generated from our patterns. So it's a great tool to be able to add extra dimension, movability, interest to your designs in seconds. Now if you want to change the colour, then by all means you can do. Maybe we don't want a green here. Well, that's fine. Let's pick up the green layer, which is the ColorLogic separation, and now we're going to go to a different library. We're going to go to the swatch libraries, ColorLogic Metallic Silver Swatches. Now the metallic silver here represents the metallic silver colour system, because we're printing onto silver ink or silver substrate. If we were to bring out a different system, like maybe printing onto gold papers, then it would be metallic gold swatches. So pick up this, but this just shows you the CMYK percentages that make up every swatch in our system. So if you want to, you can go through and you can change the colours. So maybe I want that to be a blue instead, and maybe this one wants to be, let's go with a kind of yellowy colour, and that one let's go with red. Number 230 is a nice red. So you can go in and change things. So that's the basic way of using the system. Now, each one of those patterns can also be scaled and rotated and edited. So let's do the scaling and rotating first. Always work on your ColorLogic separation. Double click the scale tool and turn off transform objects, because you don't want to scale the actual box. We're just scaling the pattern here. So notice I've got a 300% scale in there. Will make my pattern a lot bigger. Click on OK. On this one, let's work with rotation. So I'm going to change the rotation of this one by 45 degrees, and now you can see the pattern takes on a different appearance. I'm also going to scale that one because I want the pattern to be a little bit larger. I'm going to go maybe 150. Okay. And then this one on the side here, again, let's do a rotation. Let's do 45 degree. Whoops, make sure you're selecting the ColorLogic layer. So now we can create these really interesting effects. Every design could be different. You notice how all these patterns we create them to try and add movement and interaction into the print. So do play around with them. Now, if you want to be able to move the pattern to a different position, you can do so. And this is using Adobe software. So this is Adobe's shortcuts. You know, we don't make these things up. It's just how Adobe works. But we know the tips and tricks that we can pass on to you. So first of all, what we're going to do here is we're going to go on to this pattern. Now, just to try and show you how this works, hopefully I can show you it on the keyboard viewer. So let's see where it is. Okay, so see this little tool, this little button here next to the Z that's going black. You need to hold that one down on your keyboard. Okay, so let me just move it out of the way. In fact, we can close that down. So I'm holding down that little key, and now I can click on any part of this pattern and I can move it to anywhere I want. So maybe I want to move it into the center here, and that will physically move the pattern. So you can now get your pattern in the right place that suits your design. So there we have it, the basic way of using ColorLogic with Pattern Effects Volume 4. Now we're going to go and actually color up a few more designs here just to show you how we do it. We're going to create a gradient next time. So let's do that on this piece of greeting card. So on here again we've got our background color. I'm going to go into the ColorLogic graphic style and let's use, I'm going to go with like a violet color. Let's go with number 147. Okay, so that gives me my metallic color. So I've got the ColorLogic CMYK and the silver separation there. So again, clicking on the silver separation, go to your Pattern Effects volume, and here I'm going to add in this one. Okay, so again, this is going to be a nice little design. It can be quite intricate in the background. So every little light area is non-metallic and every darker area is metallic. Okay, so that way we've now got our pattern in there. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go onto the color layer. And this time I'm going to go to my gradient tool, switch it over to a gradient. And in here we can change the gradient position if we want. We can even do the freeform gradient tools if you want. So the freeform gradient tool allows you to be able to put different colors in different areas, and that's what I'm going to do here. So again, I'm going to open up the ColorLogic CMYK palette, so ColorLogic from the CMYK palette, and I'm going to pick some colors. So I'm going to pick number 60 in that top corner. Let's go with more like a pinky color in the bottom go with 189. So these little circles here is what I'm dragging and dropping it onto, and that will change the colour in that background. I'm going to leave this one as white, because then that will be silver substrate or silver ink, and then blending into colour. And I'm going to do the same up in this top corner up here. I'm going to make this one white as well. So to make that one white, you can go to your normal document and just find a white colour and drag and drop it on there. Okay, so now I have my greeting card done with a gradation effects in the background blended between two different metallic colours, and I also have a pattern in there, and automatically that is going to give me so much more to my design. Next, we're going to work on a piece of packaging, just to show you how this works, but I think you get the idea now. Is basically click on a colour that you want to colour up, go to your graphic style libraries, make a design. Let's make this one a goldish colour. Let's go to number 17. So another unique feature of the ColorLogic system is that we can create golds. Maybe I don't like this colour because I don't like what it's doing with my back panel. Let's change that to something a bit more like a blue. Let's go with number 140. Okay, now the reason I've done that is because I've coloured up my artwork with other ColorLogic techniques, and I'm not going to explain all those different things today because we're really just here to show you pattern effects. But again, pick up the silver layer, we're going to go to our pattern effects volume, and I'm going to this time create this one. Okay, so again, very simple, very quick, very easy. You could also create different versions. For example, you could put each one of these background boxes as a variable data field. So you could create a piece of artwork, save it as a variable data information field, and then it will drag and drop it in and switch one of these backgrounds out. So you could have maybe 20 different patterns, and each design that goes out could have a different effect and a different colour. Very, very easy to do. You could also have variable data using text. So on here, take this for example. If we print this onto a metallic substrate using white ink, and we change this word here, elegantly designed, perfectly engineered, into a different language, so French, German, Spanish, etc., then those words in the white ink mask would need to change, which means that if you're doing this with manual white ink masking, you would have to manually make every single variable data field by hand. With ColorLogic, it will automatically process it at the DFE, as and when you send it down. No masking, no other variations other than using your standard variable data fields and the ColorLogic system. So there we have it, a quick, simple, elegant solution for adding multiple effects to your designs. Now, one last thing that I want to show you is how you can combine different effects. So I'm going to do that here on this little design here. So we're using pattern number 61, I believe. So what I want to do here, actually that's number, let's see, what was it? Yeah, number 61. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is, first of all, let's just move that back into position. I'm going to actually use a varnish this time. So I'm going to change this over to VAR, it's short for varnish. I'll bring up all my varnish palettes so I can see number 61 down here. So this time in my appearance box, click this little duplicate. Okay, so it's making a new layer, duplicating based on the same parameters as that you've already got set. So now if I click number 61 varnish, it's now going to add a varnish layer on top of that design. So what's happening there is, if you look at the moment, the lighter area is non-metallic. This area, the darker area, is metallic. When I switch on the varnish is actually varnishing the non-metallic area. So that's going to give me one type of an interesting effect. I'm going to get this glossy kind of feel here, like a watery, glossy look to it. And then you get this sharp metallic effect here. But you could do it the other way. Maybe you want to have the pattern in the background to be metallic with the varnish over the metallic area. And that's, well, to do that, very easy. Go to the metallic versions, pick up pattern number 61 and change it to number 61. Okay, so what we have now, turn off the varnish. So if you keep an eye on this big fat black, dark line here, so that's your metallic. So when we switch on the varnish is going over the top of the metallic. So you can integrate these things. Or you can also rotate them, as I mentioned before. So you can maybe have this design here, and then on the varnish layer, whoops, scroll out a little bit. On the varnish layer, change it. So I'm going to do this to 45 degrees. So now, let me zoom right out. So now I've got this really interesting effect. I've got these metallics going in certain directions. I've got things going on with my design. You can create whatever you like. Now what we can also do, get rid of that one, we could also edit the pattern. So if we want to, and all I have to do here is find out what the pattern is. So I'm going to go to my swatches that I've been working with. It'll tell me down here. So that's number 61. I'm actually going to duplicate this one because I want to keep my original. And on this one I'm going to edit it. So just double click and it will bring up the pattern options inside Illustrator. So I'm going to go inside here, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to delete these bits in the middle. I'm going to click on done. So now I've got my design. I'm going to change that pattern over to the one I've just created. So now I've removed the internal bit. So maybe put like your company logo in the middle. So again, more ways that you can use this system. Get the right tools in the hands of the designers. And we hear this all the time from printers, but we don't do design. I know we know you don't do design, which is why we give you the creative tools to get to the designers that do actually do the design. The more people that use the ColorLogic system effectively and combine that with the FX viewer to see all these effects on the screen, you're going to get much more interesting effects from your designs. So there we have it. Pattern Effects Volume 4, available now to purchase from the ColorLogic website.